YouTube channel, my live stream gameplay walkthrough. This is Jacob Cast 2024, playing NBA 2K26 My Career on the PS5. We're gonna do Monday Night Raw review, July 27, 2026. The go home show for SummerSlam 2026, which is this week. And then we'll talk about a little bit of AEW Redemption, the pay-per-view that was last night on Sunday, and how awful that pay-per-view was, the storyline that we're seeing. Just want to say thank you for watching, thank you for all the support. Hit that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section below if y'all want to see more. Okay, so this video is sponsored by my favorite YouTubers and podcasters like Fightful Pro Wrestling, Solomon the Sound Off, JD from New York, Good My Work Commentary, and Anthony Salcedo, and other podcasts I know of who are part of the IWC. Now, my live stream is going about an hour and 20 minutes. Let's see how long this is. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw tonight. I thought the show was whatever. Show was god awful. Another shit show. I just can't wait to get SummerSlam over with. So we see what happens on that show. I will do it live. I will do a live stream for the show.
I do know. Jim Glazer got. Imagine I just killed myself live on the show. I'm turning red. How did the Warrior do that?
Interesting decision. So Ruka, WWE's been trying to push her.
I think there's like 6 matches. We got the 6th man with the Bloodline, Usos and Fatu versus Boy Key, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa. And then we got the 6th woman tag team with Fatal Influence against the Bellas and Pays, Liv Morgan and Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. And we got Gunther and Nick Aldis, Brock Lesnar and Open Family inside Hell in a Cell, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk for the WWE Championship. Those are the 6 matches on the card. And for night 2, we got Baron Corbin versus Trick Williams for the U.S. Championship, Penta versus Chad Gable for the IC Championship, Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor, winner facing the WWE Champion down the line, Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio, and then we got the interim woman championship with Charlotte Jade, and Tiffany Stratton, and there's someone else I forgot who's in it, but there'll probably one more person probably added to that. And then we got Reigns and Rollins.
Are coming from the NXT. I remember that night with Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez and Bianca Belair. I believe those were the 3 in the ring. And we thought Raquel Rodriguez, man, she's going to start collecting gold. And listen, she's held several titles. You know, lots of tag team titles, no question. This is her first singles title on the main roster. Can you believe that? So she won it today. And listen, I get it. A lot of people are like, oh.
And that's a shame when you think about it.
Oh, so Ruka.
Weekend for Saturday and Sunday, reviewing and watching SummerSlam together. So my homework for tonight,
side interference, it did make
that stuff. So keep that in mind. Thursday predictions, and then Saturday and Sunday watch along and review for both nights of SummerSlam. We will be here covering.
Now the show opened up with Brock Lesnar, his final confrontation with Owen Femi. Now we did see Triple H and Adam Pearce and some security guards inside the cell. Brock Lesnar was outside the cell. Paul Heyman was speaking. Open Femi was in the ring. They taunted each other. They face to face. Owen and Brock declared war before Hell in a Cell. That will open the show. The hype of this match. Man, this face to face with whatever. I can't wait till the feud is over and we'll see what Open goes next after SummerSlam. That's what I'm gonna ask. Open Femi and Brock Lesnar that opened the show. Map or whatever, fine. Everything else in the show sucked. Nothing was important. The Vision defended their World Tag Team Champions against Otis and Tozawa of the Alpha Academy. They won. The Vision got the victory. Maxine Dupree and the Vision injured Otis. They practically took him out of the equation. So he might be taking some time off for a while. Then we'll see where the Vision go from there. Javon Evans earned monumental win against Rusev from a very good match. Ryan Garcia and the Judgment Day ruined Joe Hendry and Danhausen band or whatever. There's not much. Now, the other big thing was Ruka defended her women's IC championship against Raquel. Man, whatever, fine. Raquel got the victory. She won her first single champion. She won her first mid-card champion. She won the women's IC champion against Ruka with the help of the Judgment Day. While Sam Perez and Liv Morgan kept getting involved. Raquel finally won the single championship after all this time. That's a shame when you think about it. It took her this time to win some gold.
Tools from Harbor Freight are doing hard work in real garages across America.
So it can be lifted up off the ground. Nobody does it because it would ruin the segment. But it is very silly to me that Brock Lesnar was like, "Ha, I locked you in." Not just his opponent, mind you, which would have been silly enough because, like,
Danhausen will face Dominic Mysterio in a human Montes on a pole match. That's the stipulation in that match. That's a weird stipulation. It's a weird storyline. We're getting too much Danhausen on TV, man. Oh. Anything else? I don't think so. Alright, let's go on to my other podcasters so I can show them for a bit.
And keeps
fake retire. Oh. Make
poot.
Poot? What does that mean?
Ask your chat.
Poot?
Yeah, poot.
Okay, what does it mean to poo?
Ask
Are
chat.
Are you sure you're not saying pout? Like pout like
Nope. No, I know what I'm saying. Okay.
Hold on, hold on.
No, I don't do duck face.
Okay, what? Hey, the duck face is kind of cute. Look. What? I'm just saying, you do a little duck face, bat a little eyelash, and next thing you know, you got a man. Let's go.
I can't take you anywhere.
What is a poo? I don't know what that means.
Google it.
I don't know. That's so crazy. Alrighty, everyone. Well, let's go ahead and get right to it, and let's talk about all of everything that went down here on this show. Oh, everyone's saying it means to fart. You fart in the mirror and in your reflection? Are you serious? Why would you do that?
Why do you believe me? Just because I have a microphone in front of me, you take everything I say as gospel?
Yes, it is gospel.
No, it's not. It's far from it.
Oh my god. Alright, let's do this dang show. Let's get to it. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the WWE Raw Post Show. It's your girl, Denise Salcedo. I am joined by Sancho West. Sancho, how are you? We had the Raw Go Home show for SummerSlam. How are you feeling about it?
Was it a Go Home show? Was it?
No. Someone made a joke that it was a Stay Home show.
Dang. It was. There was a lot of vignettes and video packages with some wrestling today. Yes.
It's unfortunate because just last week we were sitting here talking about what we considered one of the weakest episodes of Raw. And I remember thinking and saying, oh yeah, don't worry, next week it's going to be good though. Because one, the show is the go-home show for SummerSlam. It's Raw's last final Raw before SummerSlam. They have a lot of really good stuff on it. They have the Brock Lesnar, Oba Femi weigh in. They have Roman and Seth. And I thought to myself, oh, and they're going to be in Los Angeles. They tend to go all out. You know, you got Netflix execs there and a bunch of celebrities. They're going to want to show off. It's going to be awesome. And I feel like everything I said was wrong.
Yeah. It just didn't have those high moments where you felt like you needed to see SummerSlam tomorrow. And I think that's what was missing. And I feel like, don't get me wrong, video packages, they require a lot of production, they require a lot of time, but they don't require a lot of creativity. And I feel that the ones that were showcased in ring, they did have some creativity, and some did go for the fences, and some landed and some didn't. But that's what you want in your pro wrestling. You want them to take chances, and not everything is going to hit. But I'd rather have them see them fail at something than seeing a video package for an important match at SummerSlam. And I think it's only going to be worse for SmackDown, considering that SmackDown only has 2 hours to showcase the 6 matches that they're going to have to do for their night.
All right, well, I want to kick things off with Brock and Oba Femi because, for the most part, I feel that from the beginning of this feud all the way up until, God, probably maybe Clash in Italy, is when I thought everything was going pretty good. And it was going pretty great all the way up until WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, I thought, okay, I guess it's fine, whatever, we're continuing on. But from there, I don't know, man. I don't feel like they've really... I feel like they've kind of lost the execution of this. They were doing so good, 10 out of 10, no notes on this feud. But lately, I don't know what's been going on. There's been a couple of times where we're watching Brock and...
So bad news. The call won't start. Don't worry. I'll call my guy. So good news.
When you're craving calls, get your burger guy on the line. 5 Guys.
Closely with the visual of the Hell in a Cell, talking their shit, getting right into each other's face. I thought we would have to see these policemen and Triple H and Adam Pearce and everybody try to get in between them, break apart, pull apart, something. But we didn't get any of that. And instead we got what we got, which was a lot of talking from Paul Heyman on the outside with messed up microphones as Brock Lesnar walked all around, closed him in the cage, and no one did anything. And Oba was just in there kind of looking a little silly, twiddling his thumbs because he couldn't do anything.
He got outsmarted. But I think I know what you're saying is like the idea of a weigh-in is supposed to have that big fight feel, the sports atmosphere, and it's supposed to have those press conference feels that the WWE likes to do in big PLEs right before the PLE, and we didn't get any of that. Instead, we got more pro wrestling, which it should be fun, and it should be something that we would want more, less sports and more of that sports entertainment. But I think our expectations kind of like, for me, I was like, I'm expecting Oba to break out of the Hell in a Cell, make Brock run away, because that's what Oba's been saying this entire time. And instead, that doesn't happen. And then on the flip side, we just get Oba beating up defenseless people again. And he almost one got pancaked almost when he was just kind of sandbagged him. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, for me, when you look at the entire thing from Brock and Oba, nothing can beat WrestleMania. That's like the hardest thing to overcome. If I had a neuralizer and I could forget that beautiful moment of the unexpected win from Oba, Brock unexpectedly retiring, and the tears from both Paul and Brock Lesnar, and the reverence from that crowd, if I could erase that, then I would be 100% all in. But right now, what's selling me on SummerSlam is just the spectacle of the Hell in a Cell and what kind of chaos and carnage can Oba and Brock bring. But I don't know if that could beat the purity of WrestleMania for me.
Yeah, man. I feel like we didn't actually lead that fake retirement moment. We didn't need that. We could have still had everything that happened afterwards still happen even without that. And it would have been so much better if, like, Hell in a Cell. Hey, what if he does it again? If he does it again, are we going to care? Like, are we truly going to believe it this time?
That's going to be the hard thing. It kind of reminds me when Seth Rollins fainted his injury. Now when Rollins is hurt again, are we going to believe it? But I do believe that the WWE did not know exactly what was going to happen after Mania, and I think Brock kind of went in there and he said, I'm just going to retire and see what you do. Like, what are you going to do? If I retire, how are you going to bring me back? What's my number going to be to do this match for Oba Femi? Not only this match, but the 2 other matches combined with SummerSlam and, like you mentioned, in Italy. So, I don't know. It just feels like to me like it doesn't. When Oba was talking about Mania, it felt like he said, this is destiny. This is going to be my opportunity. You can't run from it. And then now it's just like Brock is just toying with Oba, and then Brock Lesnar's calling him, Paul Heyman's calling him obsessive, calling him dumb. I think what did he call him today? I felt like it was a strange thing to say. A bastard. So it's just like, I know at the end of the day, Oba's going to win, but is it going to be worth giving up your championship opportunity?
We're way past that now at this point, but look, the way they can get me back here and make me feel like all's well that ends well is if we get ourselves a nice full-length match, because this is truly what I want. I really want a full-length match. I don't want anything less than 25 minutes. All right, anything less than that, I'm going to feel a little cheated, a little robbed. I do want to get the utmost possible violence that we can possibly get, because I kind of like that shit, and especially if you're giving me a Hell in a Cell, that is the teaser that you are sort of promising me that this is what I'm going to get from this match. So that's what I want. I, of course, want Oba to go over, and then, hey, cherry on top, if Brock does it again, and he goes, hey, this time I really am retiring for reals. That's a bonus, but that's only because I really liked that moment for Oba at WrestleMania, and I would like it if that moment was still real and true. But I don't know, man. I fear that I fear 2 things. One, I fear Brock winning. And I fear them trying to do some crazy, silly ending just to either A, keep this shit going, which it shouldn't. This should be the end. And I know we get excited about Brock and Oba, but this should definitely be the end. And I don't want anything stupid to happen. And I gotta say it, man, because right now there are some questionable things that are happening on the show that I'm just wondering to myself, why? Why exactly why? Like, literally. And I don't want that to happen, because I know that they can get Brock and Oba, right? I know it because we've seen it. We've seen it. That WrestleMania moment was awesome. I would love to see something like that again.
Hard to replicate greatness. Hard to do it.
That is definitely true. So there you go. That was the opening of the show. And right after that, Sancho, I started to worry about the rest of the show. That is when I started to worry about, because I have this belief, okay? And so far it's proven time and time again to kind of be true. But whatever happens at the opening of any show truly sets the tone of the night. And usually whenever the opening segment is ass, sometimes the rest of the show, most of the times, is ass too. If the opening segment is great, the rest of the show is great. And I'm telling you, I've said this like a zillion times, and it always happens like that. And I feared, because I thought to myself, oh no, that opening segment wasn't good. We cannot have the rest of the show not be a hit, because this is the show. Like, this is the one to sell tickets to.
Is it because it's like all the creativity is put in that opening segment? Like all the power and all the pomp and circumstance, everything leads on that opening segment to hit. So the rest of it could be like seen. Because like if you would say, man, you should have checked out what happened to Brock and Oba. Oh, I'm watching Raw tonight. And then you pop on Raw, and then like it just follows up and boom, boom. There was some great nuggets, some gems in this Monday Night Raw. I'm not throwing everything out. No. I'm not throwing everything out. I thought there were some great matches. There was some great wrestling in there. I know that probably the most controversial thing was not even the Oba Brock, but a lot of people jumping ship on Danhausen and Joe Hendry concert with JD and Dom. Look, I wrote that moment, I was like, at least that served the purpose of that match. Like, we got a proper go-home segment for that match at SummerSlam for me to say, ooh, I want to see Dom and JD get their comeuppance because they ruined this absurd, fantastical concert from Joe Hendry and Danhausen that I'm like looking around especially onto the timeline and X, I'm like, what did you guys expect? Like, it's Joe Hendry and Danhausen putting on a concert with the Mini-Hausens and then the Clippers dancers. And I'm like, what were you expecting? And then I, for one, was like, this is awesome that JD and Dom got Ryan Garcia, a welterweight champion, to come in as celebrity, which what heels would do because celebrities I hated on, to ruin the party with a crazy guitar shot and a beatdown on Danhausen, Joe Hendry, and all the Mini-Hausens. It's like, well, what am I wrong here? And there are people saying it's like the worst company ever. It's like, it feels like it's so interesting when one company has a when both companies have PLEs the same week almost. It's like all of a sudden like everything's in like more scrutinized, more criticized. Everyone's watching everything with a magnifying eye. I'm like, hey, what are we doing?
It's pro wrestling. We're always watching with a magnifying glass. That's the way it be, man. But here's the thing. It's funny because I sometimes feel a little bit, biased sometimes when it comes to Danhausen segments, and I feel like I am much more understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could work with what they give me, right? Yeah, I'm flexible.
I think the most important one, in my view, is being honest to ourselves. As founders, we've invested our life and blood into this, building this stuff. It's very easy to convince ourselves that our idea is good and continue to beat a dead horse in some cases, as the saying goes, or overreacting to the advice that comes by. The advice is free, and a lot of people that we as founders talk to, almost you talk to 100 people, you get 100 different advices. But being honest to ourselves, being objective in terms of the thought process, again, easier said than done.
They all love Roman, though. Woo, that place love Roman because Roman's cool in L.A.
LA likes the really big stars.
Oh, they do. Oh,
they love your Stone Colds, your Rocks, your Romans, your Cenas.
Your Brock Lesnar's.
Those are the people they're going to get up for. Mm-hmm. Everybody else and everything else, you're going to have to work for it. Now, here's the thing. Danhausen's getting up there, right? He's a very popular guy. But the thing is, I think that the concert just started. Like, from what we saw in the commercials, like, it went from commercial to just bam, we're in the ring and this is starting. There's no rhyme, who, what, when, what, none of that. It's getting started. And I think that part too, I think that a lot of these concerts only really work when you're talking mad shit about the person that you're going to be in a fight with or whatever. And this was like a cute little, I believe you are cursed, whatever it is that they were singing.
I believe that you are cursed.
And it was cute, but it wasn't, like, funny, though. It was just cute, and I think that's why it didn't really work. I love the dancers. They were great. The little I believe you are cursed was, again, very, very adorable. But is that what people want? Do you want adorable? I don't know.
It's absurdity. It gets more absurd. It builds on the absurdity. Concert, the organ, he's not even playing the organ. Keeps going higher and higher. The Mini-Hausens, the Clipper dancers, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then Ryan Garcia's out there doing the conga line. It gets more absurd. And then the heels come in and cut everything out. And then a great frog splash from Dom. I'm just saying, like, that first segment, that segment on Raw was like, all right, finally, something that's going to build for SummerSlam. And it makes me want to see what happens in SummerSlam in the match.
Yeah. I mean, it was what it was. Take it or leave it. It's a catchy little cute song. We'll probably remember it. We got Jacob Tatum here, says, how much better was this Monday Night Raw compared to last week? Thank you for doing the watch along and post show and not going to the show. # appreciation. Yeah, so I could have gone to the show, but I decided not to, Sancho. I didn't be here.
Traffic's bad.
Well, I mean, so I map quested, and it was 29 minutes.
Map quested?
I mean, not map quested, Google Maps.
Map quested?
Sorry, my brain was thinking in the past. My brain was thinking in 1997.
Did you staple it and print it out?
I'm sorry, okay? All right? I meant Google Maps did or whatever. I actually don't really even use Google Maps, to be honest. I'm more of a Waze girl, but whatever. Anyways, it was 29 minutes, okay? A whole 29 minutes of my life to have to go drive over there.
Yeah, but leaving there would have been bad.
Yeah, you know what? It depends on where you park. If you know where to park, it's not as horrendous as long as there's not multiple events going on.
What, did you go to 39, WrestleMania 39? Of course you did, right?
Yes, I did.
That was bad.
Not for me because I knew where to park.
Where'd you park?
I parked in one of the buildings that was kind of a little bit closer to the freeway, so I was pretty much out as soon as I was out.
But that was a long walk.
Not really. I just crossed the parking lot.
It's a long walk.
Well, you gotta walk a lot in this parking
I had to
spot.
walk a mile. The first night, I walked a mile out to take an Uber. Because the Uber rates were insane at SoFi Stadium. So I walked a mile away and it went down by like 50%. And then the second night, I just parked my car, and that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no. Well, for me, it's different because I always try to find like the cheapest parking possible, and those are usually a little ways away. But now I know my key spots of where to park that are not too expensive, not too far, and easy to get out. Because the trick is where you park on which side of the street you park on, because they block it. So what they do is they usually make you go in one direction, and they send everybody in that one direction. However, if you know where to park and you go the opposite direction, it's a lot clearer.
I parked at a house. You know,
they do that. Yeah, people make money like that out here. It's like, hey, park in my house for $20, much cheaper than parking at the venue. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole
There's
thing.
a system out. Guys, like, I don't know if people really get this, but it's Kia Forum, it's the Forum, it's Intuit Dome, and freaking SoFi Stadium, all in the same exact street. So it gets freaking crazy out there. Anyways, thank you, Jacob. He also says the opening segment with Brock and Oba was disappointing in my opinion because I wanted some form of physical altercation and did not get it whatsoever. No, it left a lot more to be desired.
It's a lot of pomps and circumstance with the production of actually having the Hell in a Cell and having Triple H out there, and he did nothing.
No, I was expecting him to at least get people hyped up, because people get hyped up when they see Triple H. They're like,
Triple H.
Right. I was expecting like the, hey, it's time to play the game or something, welcome to this era. I don't know, something cool along those lines. Right? That's what I was expecting. We didn't get anything. You don't like my Triple H impression? Hey, I have a very high-pitched voice, okay? This is the deepest I can get it.
Ho-ho, time to play the game, ho-ho!
Hold on. It's time to play the game.
You're gonna blow out your voice quick.
That's definitely like the deepest that I can get it.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jacob. We got Dave Cost here who says, thrilled for Raquel. Have been praising her the last calendar year and hated when they cooled her down. One of those really deserve this opportunity. All right, well, let's talk about that because this was a pretty massive moment on the show. Raquel defeated Soruka for the Intercontinental Championship, and she did so after she kind of looked sick and really cool because, well, and it's not really cool that she got hurt and her nose was completely busted open and bleeding, but the visual of it was pretty sick. Like, she put her blood, sweat, and tears for this, and she got it. Sancho, you have been saying for the longest time that you've wanted something more for Raquel. Huzzah, it finally happened. How do you feel?
Well deserved. I know it wasn't a clean victory, but she looked great. She looked strong. She looked like she out there was an edge. The broken nose does add to it. Hopefully, I mean, she's going to probably wrestle in a mask for a while because I would love to see her as working champion. She deserves it, but I'm hoping that they don't take the title off of her because of her broken nose, because what a poor luck for her to finally win and then the broken nose happened. But I have to say, like, the only kind of lack of a better term of the black eye in this entire thing is that it still comes off the cost of Liv Morgan and Io Sky kind of being built around interferences. They interfered in Danhausen and Dom match. Now we have this, or the JD match. Now we have this happening again. So it kind of feels weird that it's Io and Liv Morgan for the women's title, and yet they don't get their dedicated in-ring time because it only happens as outside characters in other go-homes, which was kind of weird. But at the end of the day, this was a SummerSlam quality match, I thought. I thought Sol Ruca and Raquel do have that nice chemistry where Raquel could just beat her down and Sol Ruca could just keep firing back with all her high flying. And the Hana Bomb was just so nice. Raquel was well deserved. I wish it was against Liv Morgan, where she got her first singles title, because there was a little bit more drama behind it, more story. But for her to get it in a very, I would say, a strong division when it comes to the mid card for the women on Raw, much better than SmackDown. Thumbs up, because I love Raquel. Raquel's awesome. She's representing the RGV.
One of the things that I felt was I was happy for Raquel, but part of me was also thinking, oh my gosh, also a big fan of Sol Ruca, so I was kind of a little sad that I kind of felt like I didn't get to see that much of her as Intercontinental Champion. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm trying to see, she defended the title she defended it one time here. I'm trying to count how many she actually defeated. She only had a handful of defenses here. I think only like one, and then afterwards the title change. So do you feel like, considering that Sol Ruca is a new face on this roster, when you have a new face on the roster, you really want to go all out to really make them look good? Do you think that they did that for Sol Ruca, or do you think it was kind of so-so, her reign?
I feel like with Sol Ruca, her excellence is her in-ring ability compared to her on the mic and her storytelling outside of the ring. So I thought they would lean more into that and showcase Sol Ruca and help her get more over with her in-ring ability. But I do feel that this is going to probably go back and forth for a bit. I mean, why not have a trilogy between Raquel and Sol Ruca? I'm not expecting a long hold here from Raquel. I just wanted to see her get her due and get her first title as a main roster competitor, and I'm hoping that Raquel and Sol Ruca could get another run at it again. I mean, they have something there. Obviously, I would love Raquel to be more in the main event, but you got to start somewhere with Raquel.
Thank you, Dave. We got Andrew Brown here who says Ryan Garcia is a Class A bigot. I don't know about Ryan Garcia, so I don't know about that. Thank you, Andrew. We got Envy the Engineer who says AEW TV pay-per-view right now feels like watching a Christopher Nolan film, and WWE TV pay-per-view feels like watching a backyard film shot on the first ever iPhone. Oh my God, that is not good, right?
Let me tell you this, brother. Monsters and Minions, or Minions and Monsters, has a place in your movie watching cinema, all right? That movie was great. Is it as great and prestigious as the Oscar award-winning potential winning of The Odyssey? No, but I had a damn good time watching Minions and Monsters with my kids, okay? Do you understand?
Thank you, Envy the Engineer. All right, I want to go ahead and get to the top of a little bit of the show. We also had Austin Theory and Braun Breaker versus Alpha Academy. Now, this is kind of where I knew right off the bat when I saw this match that I wasn't going to be locked in. I knew I didn't care. I officially know that I'm out on this storyline, Sancho. I know that I'm out on this one. And it kind of felt like the whole Intuit Dome was out on this one. Braun Breaker deserves better. Did you watch Unreal?
No. The reason why I don't like Unreal is because they try to change the truth that I've seen with my own eyes.
Okay, well, one of the things that was the big talking point, at least for me, was, getting to see what went down with poor Braun Breaker, where he was supposed to be, all of the big moments and things that were supposed to happen for him that didn't end up happening. And I'm just thinking to myself, in hindsight, watching that, knowing where we're at right now, what feud he's stuck in, he doesn't have a match at SummerSlam. I mean, what the heck?
At Citizens Private Bank, we believe your attention is best spent on your passions. That's why we dedicate our
match was an awesome feud with Seth Rollins. Where did it all go? It just disappeared.
You're getting deceived. Because what's interesting is, yes, Triple H said in that, I did see that wind where he's like, oh, we don't want to shove Braun Breaker or run down throats. He doesn't want to do that. And I'm like, well, you're not. You're not really anymore. You're not even giving us anything with this guy. You need to feed your dog. He's hungry. And so it's funny because every time I'm seeing, what's the word I'm looking for? Promos, backstage segments, him walking out, he just has this bored, disgusted face. And I'm telling people, well, he's doing that on purpose. You wouldn't have someone out there not wanting or enjoying their time on TV, and the WWE going oh, what do we do? They would stop putting him on TV if he had that sour face.
Maybe that's just his face, Sancho.
No. If you look at his face, the man is pissed and upset. But I remember how they booked Braun Breaker when he first appeared on the main roster, when he was getting upset and pissed off at the squash matches, and eventually led to him bigger and better things. I'm thinking he's eventually going to get upset and not be with Austin and Logan. But the problem is he can't get physical with Logan until he's healed. So we're just in a holding pattern for Braun Breaker. But I think what is shocking is that you mentioned it before, and I've said it before, it's not about where Braun Breaker is, it's about where he was. And where he was so much better, and where he is, it's so much worse. But I do think that eventually he's going to come out better. I still like Braun Breaker as a character. more than a lot of the newer prospects out there, because Braun Breaker just has that little bit of legacy in him that could go a long way. I just want them to dip more into that. I keep saying that until I'm blue in the face, but dip more into his legacy.
And I almost fear that they're not, because it was said on there that they don't want him to be a Steiner. And that was pretty heartbreaking. And yeah, that was one of the big things that I was thinking about too, was how we're deciding which wrestlers get to actually continue their family name and which ones don't. And I think at the end of the day, it all boils down to who has a good relationship with WWE and who doesn't. I don't know. That's just my assumption. I don't really know for sure, but I don't know what else to say as a reason to be like, oh, well, you can't continue this name because, well, they're like, you can forge your own path. But I'm like, there are people who doesn't even have a match.
But this was his SummerSlam match.
Oh my gosh. That cannot count.
If SummerSlam had 8 matches, this would be on the card.
Oh my God! But I can't co-sign on that, Sancho. It's like it's
every match
to me.
that happened today could have been at a SummerSlam. I wish Raquel won her title at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that one. But I don't think Austin Theory, Braun Breaker, and Alpha Academy is a SummerSlam match at all.
I wish Austin Theory beat down Otis and cracked him in the head at SummerSlam. Look, I was having this argument with Santi. I said the reason why it sucks that we have limited PLE matches, because when you go back to watch old matches, they're not going to be there. You're not going to go back to watch a Monday Night Raw. You're not going to go back to watch a SmackDown. You would go back to watch SummerSlam. So if you're not on SummerSlam, you're going to be forgotten years, 5, 10, 15 years from now.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I like it. For example, for me, I know that this is a 2-night show, so that's why we got the 2 cards, and there you can fit so much more in there. But I personally still enjoy the one night, X amount of matches, and the only matches that you see on here because we've been building on TV for weeks. I like the idea of earning your spot on the show. I like the idea of every match being on the card for a very particular reason. You know, it's like picking your track list, right? You're a singer, you made an album, and you got to cut some songs, and you only put the very best on the track list, and you're like, you know what? These are my 12 songs. These are the ones I'm sticking to. They deserve to be on here. It's cohesive, and it makes sense. That is ideally the kind of card that I like, but it's very rare now that we get those types of cards and that we get those types of builds.
So you don't like Austin Theory. I get it.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Oh, and I do got one more thing to say, Sancho.
Don't do it.
What, you want me to say it? What do you think I'm going to say? Can you predict what I'm going to say?
Go ahead.
No, I'm curious. Why are you like squid? Like, why do you think you know what I'm gonna say?
You are the #1 hater of this person. Just go ahead and do it.
No, I'm not gonna hate on LA Knight. It has nothing to do with LA Knight. You can smile. You can breathe. Title defense. Again, this is not Liv Morgan's fault, guys. This is what has been booked for her.
Agreed. There's nothing here that's Liv's fault or Io's fault. It's just...
When you want something crushably smooth,
you gotta lose the bubbles.
I don't think you could continue. I think if Io was champion, it'd just be worse for Io.
Yeah, I don't think that they would. Here's the thing: they're big fans of Liv. We know this. They support Liv. They recognize her as a star. Yeah. Exactly. And with all of that, she's still not getting defenses. What makes you think it's going to be better for Io? It doesn't. Io's an extraordinary wrestler. We know that. She's a great character. We know that.
She doesn't have that much depth to her, but this kooky, crazy, heel, disturbed Lyra Curia, there's something more interesting because her responsibility is less about...
Make me less excited for SummerSlam. Now, is the show going to be good? Is it going to have good matches? Probably. It'll have good matches. Who am I talking about? What am I talking about? Who am I kidding? But
Enzo comes back, it's going to be a completely separate deal, and they're going to wait till they can bring him back on TV and have them cross paths and tap into that history. Who knows? But right now, the only confirmation that we've got is Cass coming back. Still no confirmation on Enzo.
What are you going to do, right? Every television show has commercials. It feels like there's more of them. The company at the end of February, You know, it was Josh fraud comments are probably going to be coming his way on social media. You know what my biggest regret is, honestly, other than watching this show, of course? It's nights like this where I really wish I did have a Sirius XM subscription so that I could wake up in the morning and I could listen to Busted Open Radio just to see if they bust a nut to that concert segment. I need somebody to update me tomorrow on what I need to know what that conversation is going to be like when they talk about the concert that we had on Raw here tonight. Please update me on what is discussed there. You know, they're really going to be putting that WWE radio thing to the test tomorrow, coming off this, what was the go-home episode of Raw. The final Raw before SummerSlam. We have one show left to go. SummerSlam is on Saturday and Sunday. We have SmackDown on Friday. May the wrestling gods be with us. If the show on Friday is anything like what we had tonight, and here's the thing, like, I think people expect me to come on here and kind of rip the entire thing to shreds, you know, and go on some sort of, like, epic meltdown or whatever, because clearly there were a lot of people, just judging from the chat and others on social media, who were not enamored with this Raw show tonight. And why should you be? Why should you be? It was the typical uninspired, you know, drivel that we typically get. But the thing about it is this. We had on this is the final push to SummerSlam. We had the final face-to-face between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in the ring. They said absolutely nothing different than we've heard from them in every other segment that they have had up until tonight. They said the same stuff over and over again. Seth Rollins said the same stuff. Roman Reigns said the same stuff. I have to beat you. I have to beat you for my family. Seth Rollins talked about how I'm in your head. I've beaten you before. Blah, 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 blah. We've heard this all before. We had Brock Lesnar and Obafemi. Hell in a Cell, right? A match that I'm looking forward to this weekend is SummerSlam. And they had the cell. They actually had the giant cell. They were there tonight in the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. If you didn't know that, I don't know how you wouldn't know that, because they constantly told you about all the celebrities that they had in attendance tonight, one of whom, by the way, took part in one of the worst television segments of the year, which we will get to. But they were in LA. The giant cell. I mean, this thing is as big as I've ever seen it. So much so that it actually makes these guys look small. That's the drawback of having a cage that tall. It makes these guys who are gigantic look tiny. But they brought in the cell. The time that it took them to assemble the cell and raise it and then lower it. And for what? So we had one last face-to-face. Brock wouldn't get in the cell. Oba was in the cell. So you had that visual of, you know, that Oba's trying to get to him, but he can't. And we have Paul Heyman on the microphone. Paul Heyman is saying the same thing over and over again. And to me, this is the greatest sin of WWE television right now. And this is nothing new, but it's nights like this where it really gets driven home. They say the same shit over and over and over again, the same way, right? We hear the same basic beats that they hit in all their promos, and they just drive it home over and over and over again. So when you watch these television shows, and sometimes I get this feeling, I don't know about you guys, but I'll get this feeling that, man, I feel like I've heard this before. I feel like I've watched this segment before. Where have I seen this? Where have I heard this? On the show. Probably many times before. It's the same thing on repeat over and over again. At this point, I mean, you didn't even need tonight's show. You're all up to date on what these stories are. You're either into the stories for these matches or you're not. It's as simple as that. They didn't do anything on this show tonight, I don't think, to really get anybody to change their mind one way or the other as to whether or not they were going to carve out time this weekend coming up to watch SummerSlam, right? You're either watching it or you're not. It's very simple. But that's what they did for the two big matches here on this show. Basically, it was rinse, repeat. And then there's Danhausen. Now, I like Danhausen. Danhausen, I mean, the guy came into the company at the end of February, and we are now in July. They strapped the rocket to this guy. And they have him everywhere, right? They got lucky with the Nick stuff, but they have him everywhere. They literally now have a Danhausen ice cream truck. Did you see this? I wish I would have pulled the photo of this thing. This thing looks horrifying. It's like his giant face on the front of a truck. And apparently they're going to be driving it around the Minneapolis area. They have this new horror movie coming out, by the way, I think called Ice Cream Man. And that's kind of what this reminds me of. Like, I wouldn't go up to this thing. But he is everywhere. And good for him. You know, I'm happy for him and all the success that he's having. And I'm sure he's selling a shitload of merchandise because that's why they're featuring him so heavily and they're pushing him so hard. So that's great for Danhausen. The problem is, they're pushing him everywhere. And at some point, right, people get burned out on that. So you have Danhausen all over these shows, whether it was SmackDown, Raw, he's in his laboratory, he's in the ring, he's stealing people's money, he's wrestling the occasional match, he's putting a curse on this guy, he's putting a curse on that guy, and all of these things are going on. And then I see last week that they promote a concert for Raw tonight, where Danhausen is going to be in concert with Joe Hendry. And I thought to myself, well, I thought a few things to myself. I said, first of all, that sounds absolutely terrible, number one. Number two, I thought to myself, what is the purpose of Danhausen being in concert? And is Joe Hendry going to get an actual entrance on this show? Now, I already knew the answer to the question. I just have to ask it out loud anyway because it's a running joke here on these shows. I talk about it every week. Will Joe Hendry ever get a proper entrance for an actual match, or really any segment on the show? The answer is no, by the way. But they announced this concert, and I said, this is either going to be really, really fun, or this is going to be really, really terrible. They are not The Rock. The Rock is the only person, outside of that one time that Elias had that great segment with Kevin Owens in Seattle. I mean, more heat than I've ever seen in my entire life, maybe on Monday Night Raw. There are rare exceptions, okay? Usually it's The Rock, who knows how to carry this sort of thing. And I know that the concert is sort of it's the Joe Hendry thing. He was doing it in TNA. The reality of it is this. WWE has made it very clear to you and me and the entire viewing audience what they think of Joe Hendry, which is to say he's a nice guy and he's a creative guy and he gets a lot of credit for just sort of organically getting himself over and getting himself to the point where he got a contract with WWE. And I've had the chance to meet the guy and shake his hand. Super nice guy, right? I got nothing bad to say about him, but it's very, very clear. On the main roster in this company, he has no future. If you are a Joe Hendry fan who really wants to see him doing more, right? This guy's a former world champion in TNA. It ain't happening. What you see right now is as good as it's going to get. I don't even know if we're going to see him on the show a year from now, right? But put that on the side. They announced this segment. And to start the segment, I thought fucking Elias was in the ring. We hear the fucking guitar strum. And then it's Joe Hendry. And they proceed, he and Danhausen, right? Joe Hendry has his guitar. Danhausen is playing with his organ. Not so sure that wouldn't have made for a better show than what we had tonight. But that's not the organ he was playing with. So get your mind out of the gutter. He's playing with his organ, and they're singing a song about how, you know, I believe that you are cursed. I believe that you are cursed. And I'm looking at the fans behind them in the crowd, and they're sitting there, and they look completely unamused by this. And it's going on and on and on and on. And then finally we have the Mini-Hausens come out. And now they're all dancing around. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of women in the fucking aisle with masks on their faces. And they're waiting for their cue. And now they come running down to the ring. And they're doing a whole dance routine outside the ring. And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? What the fuck am I watching? And how is this supposed to get me interested in anything that Danhausen is doing at SummerSlam? Because he actually does have a match at SummerSlam. So this is going on for an extended period of time. Everyone's dancing, they're singing this song. It's the same fucking lyrics over and over and over again. And I'm banging my head against the desk and I'm like, this is awful. This is terrible. It's like a stand-up comedian doing a routine at a comedy club and the joke just doesn't land. So instead of moving on to the next joke or getting the hell off stage, he just continues to extend the joke. But then finally we had the Judgment Day come out because we're going to try to tie this into this match that Danhausen is having this weekend against Dominic Mysterio. And of course, they love their celebrities, so they had this boxer who was there. And I know he's got a big following. He's got like 1.2 or 1.3 million followers on social media. And he gets involved in the segment. And he hits Joe Hendry from behind with the guitar and helps the Judgment Day. I don't give a shit. Who cares? And the worst part about it is because Danhausen got left laying at the end of all this, it probably means he's winning this weekend. Which means he's going to beat the AAA Mega Champion. I'm sure that thrills The Undertaker to no end. They have room on that show this weekend for that match. I guess because Danhausen is super over. We have 3 sets of tag team titles in this company. Do you realize that? We have 3. We have a tag team title on Raw. We have a tag team title on SmackDown. We have a women's tag team championship, which just changed hands at Saturday night's main event. So at least that got defended on that show. Not that I give a shit. I mean, those belts, give me a break. Please. But nonetheless, 3 sets of tag team titles. You got 2 nights of SummerSlam this year. 12 matches, I believe, so far. I thought maybe they were going to announce a 13th match tonight. They didn't, which is fine. Hey, 12 matches. Cool. Not one of them do you see a tag team title defense. I mean, we can go up and down the list of all the different people who were missing and who were not on that card. Don't get me started on the Carmelo Hayes stuff and other people who have been missing from the show, but we have Dominic Mysterio and Danhausen, and we have a new stipulation that was just added to the match tonight. Human monies on a pole. Yeah. Oh, I bet there's a certain someone who got a warm, tingly feeling going up his leg, bro. Yes, we have a pole match. It is now a pole match. I wanted to take a poll, and whoever wrote that segment tonight beat them over the head with it. But at the end of the day, right, as I go on about this segment, and I get very animated about this segment because it was genuinely awful television. I mean, in all honesty, whoever was responsible for that segment should not be allowed to put their 2 cents in for a while. It was terrible television, but at the end of the day, it was just one segment. There's a larger problem, right? Because it's one bad segment. But it's one bad segment on a show that just isn't very good. And that's the real sin right now when it comes to WWE television. For all the talented men and women they have on that roster. And every now and then you may get a gem of a segment. And even tonight, you know, I'm trying to look at this show, which I'm not enjoying as it's going on, and I'm trying to find little rays of light. Siobhan Evans and Rusev had themselves a solid match tonight. Rey Mysterio and Ethan Page had themselves a solid match tonight. With the right outcomes, by the way. Siobhan won his match, Ethan won his match. That's good. 4 men who are not even on the SummerSlam card this weekend, on this final Raw before SummerSlam. Not one of those men are actually wrestling this weekend, but okay. Raquel Rodriguez against Sol Ruca. We have a brand new women's intercontinental champion, which I think I said last week. We're probably going to get a title change here. And there were a couple of people who were like, well, what are you talking about? Sol just won the belt not that long ago. Why are you going to change the title? Look, I'm not the one booking the show. I'm just telling you what I thought was going to happen here because we already had a match between them a few weeks ago, and they were running it back, and I didn't think they were going to beat Raquel for a second time. It just felt to me like we might be getting a title change on this show. And we did. Neither of those women are also on the SummerSlam card this weekend. But I was very happy for Raquel. Raquel has really, if you think about where she was a couple of years ago, well, especially when she was a babyface. I'm talking like pre-Judgment Day. Coming out, smiling, right? She put the muscles up so you could see her back muscles and everything. That was her whole gimmick. She would come out and show you her back muscles. Oh, okay, cool. What else can you tell me about her? She was on the road to nowhere. Her going heel and joining the Judgment Day did wonders for her. And apparently the criticism that she had gotten from Kevin Nash, which she took to heart, also did wonders for her, and she upped her game. So I thought it was cool to see her actually win her first championship here tonight. It did not come easy. She got her nose busted up by Sol. It opens up other questions too. Now that they've taken the title off of Sol Ruca 2 months after she won it, is she just going to get a rematch and win it back, or, where are they going to go with it? I don't know. Sol Ruca has really not done much of anything since Becky worked with her and she beat Becky to win the championship. But we could point to different people on these shows where you look at their booking and how they're being used, if they're being used. Certain people who just sort of vanished. Why did they vanish? Is it an injury issue? Is there something else going on? And I don't know the answer to all that. But at the end of the day, the greatest sin of these shows is that they're just not good. They're not good. And in some cases, they're actually quite boring. And I find myself sitting here as we go into the second biggest WWE event of the year this weekend. And I can't wait for it to be over, so we can get beyond these current stories and we can move on to whatever those next stories are going to be. We know Obafemi is going to beat Brock Lesnar this weekend. Anything else would be an unconscionable decision on their part. Unconscionable. So when he beats Brock Lesnar, I'm wondering where to next with Obafemi, right? Everyone, it's easy to sit here and talk about WrestleMania. They're going to do Obafemi and Roman Reigns. I worry about what the next 6 months are going to look like. I worry about that with a lot of these people. I look at some of the people who were building momentum. And seemingly, they were in a position where, okay, these guys, they're on the cusp, right? They're on the cusp of being elevated into that next level. And we get some new faces there at the top of the card. I look at a Jacob Fatu, I look at a Braun Breaker, and I look at where they are now. And I shake my head. Braun Breaker may be the worst example of this. And in his case, I understand that the hernia didn't do him any favors, and he was, gone for a few months there, but still, that was months ago. To see where he is now, to see where he is right now at this moment, relative to where he was at the beginning of the year, it's startling. It is startling. And he's not the only one I could say that about, right? I've talked about Gunther. This is a company that we talk a lot about how they're built on moments. Viral moments. They love their viral moments. They love when they can bring a celebrity in. Right? There are certain things they love to do. And Triple H, as a booker, has a certain reliance on certain tools and techniques, right? He's very big on returns or turns or masked men, right? He always goes back to his bread and butter, his tried and true. And we see a lot of this repeated on these shows. But then you also see people, these start and stop pushes, or they're starting to get behind somebody, but then they kind of get cold on them, and you're kind of scratching your head wondering why. And what we're left with here with these week-to-week television shows, and don't even get me started on, again, all of the I know everyone bitches and moans about the commercials and everything. It's a necessary evil. It's not going away. It is what it is. Does it help the shows? It sure doesn't help the shows at all. When you're constantly breaking in the middle of matches and stuff like that. So that only makes it worse, right? But I don't even talk about that, too much, because what are you going to do, right? Every television show has commercials. It feels like there's more of them now than ever before. But I'm talking about the quality of the actual television shows. I want these shows to make me feel something for some of these people. I want to be invested in as many characters as possible on the show, whether they're a heel or a babyface. There's one character, you're gonna think I'm nuts, or maybe not, maybe you agree with me. But there's one character that was actually on the show tonight, and for all the shit that I talked about the MFT stuff on SmackDown and how awful that was, and they went with it for far too long. Again, not interesting television. That's another great example of what I'm talking about. Where you have a faction on that show on Fridays for months and months and months. Right? The MFTs, and they're going out there to the ring, and I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. I'm not sure, how I'm supposed to feel about them when they're on my television screen. Am I supposed to really hate these people? Because I don't. I don't like them either. I'm just sort of indifferent towards them. I find myself being indifferent towards a lot of people on these shows. But that was one of the worst examples of it. Because they couldn't even respect the audience enough to kind of bring you in and tell you more about who these guys are and why you should give a shit about them, right? They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So it was the same old shit week after week, month after month, until finally they started firing some of them. And these guys lost their jobs. I'm not even sure Tala Tonga and Tama Tonga are safe from that. They're still employed for the time being. But the MFTs was a complete waste of time. And Solo Sikoa is someone who was completely miscast on the show. And I always said, man, this guy has a babyface run in him. And you're starting to see some of that bear fruit, right? He actually got some light solo chants tonight at the Intuit Dome. What he's doing right now, keep doing what you're doing with him, and I think he'll continue to get over as a babyface. Of course, my fear now is that WWE is going to end up having him do some big shock turn back heel and join the bloodline and fuck the whole damn thing up. But like, I looked at him tonight on the show and I said, you know what? I'm digging what he's doing. For the first time in months, I'm digging what Solo Sikoa is doing. So work on that, right? Focus on that. Go in that direction. Maybe that could be something. And I'm trying to find different people on the show where it's like, I like what this guy's doing. Or, hey, I like her. She's kind of cool, right? She's different. Focus on that person. Let's get something going here. Because these shows, they're so monotonous. And it's like there's no real life. There's no pulse to it every single week. They're going through the motions from segment to segment. They're trying to sell you on this and sell you on that. And now we're going to get WWE radio plugs up the ass now every week. So now we're going to be hearing about that constantly, and they're shoving all of this in your face, one right after the other after the other. It's one giant infomercial. When, as a viewer, all I want, as a wrestling fan, is for you to tell me why I should give a shit about this, and that person, and that person. And I don't know that there has ever been a time, certainly not in many years, where it was this bad. Where it's just like, I don't care. I don't care. And I want you to make me care. And that's a problem. That's what I feel when I watch so many of these shows from week to week. We joke about how awful the weekly television is. And it used to be a situation where you would get to the pay-per-views and, well, you know, at least the pay-per-views, you get some big matches, and the pay-per-views are these, like, great shows, and you can't even really rely on that all the time anymore. I feel like more often than not, you do get some really good matches on those shows, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee, especially when you get these 4-match cards, 5-match cards. I don't know. I don't know with this product these days. And I hear from other people, because I think maybe it's just me, right? There'll be a WWE diehard fan who'll be like, well, just stop watching. Just stop watching. You know, Lex Luger used to come out when he was doing his All-American gimmick, and he was feuding with Ludwig Borga. And I remember they had a face-to-face, or maybe it might have even been him and Yokozuna, but I think it was him and Borga. And he had that line, he goes, love it or leave it, right? So you get the WWE diehards. Every time there's any sort of critique or anything, and they'll be like, basically love it or leave it, right? And I'm like, well, I've loved it for so long, I think that I've at least earned the right to stick around long enough to voice my opinion and hope maybe that things will improve and things will get better. And it doesn't. And I don't know that there's any reason to be optimistic that anything is going to radically change, especially in this TKO era of WWE. This just may be the way it is. It struck me watching Unreal Season 3, which I finally just wrapped up this morning. It struck me watching it, and when they take you into the writer's room and they take you to the gorilla position, and you see some of those same, you see obviously Triple H is there, and, you know, there's Bruce Pritchard, and there's Michael Hayes, and it's the same faces and the same voices. How much of that is the problem? Maybe we need an overhaul in that department. I don't know. I don't know. What is missing? The spark that is missing from so many of these shows. It's depressing. It really is. So the Danhausen stuff is just one segment on a show. While a lot of people are going to be dumping on it, rightfully so, talking about how awful it was. It's one bad segment on a television show, but it's a television show that, on the whole, has not been very good for some time now. And that's the bigger issue. How do you fix that? How do you fix that? Everyone's got ideas on, like, well, they should do this and they should do that, right? Fewer commercials, or, you know, push this guy, or let's, you know, Merge the tag team title. These are all fine ideas. These are all fine ideas, but they're not going to do that. How do you fix this? I don't know. I don't know. Right now, I'm just hoping that we can get a really good SummerSlam card this weekend, and then coming out of that show, push the reset button, and now you've got that period from post-SummerSlam heading into Rumble and WrestleMania season. And there are a lot of times where that tends to be a very dead period in WWE as you get closer to the end of the year. So I don't know that they're necessarily going to be giving us anything that is going to be radically different and radically more exciting than what we're getting now. We probably will see some people disappear too. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, they'll probably go away. Maybe it's a good opportunity for some of the other faces to step up. But do you trust Triple H and WWE to actually put their foot on the gas and let those guys excel and let those guys try to make it to that next level? Based on the way some of them have been booked this year and what they have them doing right now, I'm not very optimistic about that. This is your Monday Night Raw review. By the way, before I even move on here, for those of you who are YouTube TV subscribers, you'll be happy to know, supposedly you have access now to ESPN Unlimited. Like, YouTube TV was like the last holdout. And a lot of people have had access to ESPN Unlimited for almost a year now. Supposedly now YouTube TV you do. I don't. And I'm a subscriber. I tried it. I don't see the option for it. I went through all the steps, so either it's all bullshit or they just have... I'm one of the lucky ones who I guess it hasn't rolled out to yet. So I guess I'll have to VPN it and watch SummerSlam on Netflix this weekend. But this is your Monday Night Raw review. It is July 27th, 2026. I am the Solomonster. Thank you guys for getting me, if you didn't notice, to 93,000 subscribers. I appreciate it very much. Now the march to 94 begins. That wasn't a great year for WWE business-wise. We did get some really good matches that year, though. But anyway, thank you for 93K. Super chats are open. Get them on in, and if they come in, I will be reading your to the presentation, so I kind of like that. But they're just standing there like punching bags, and he's kicking him and throwing him around. There was one of the cops / indie wrestlers who almost got hurt on a botched fall from grace attempt. He like went up for it wrong, and so Oba had a reset, and then he finally hit the fall from grace, but it wasn't graceful. The fall of Braun Breaker is it just has to be studied compared to where he was even a year ago. You don't even have to go back to the beginning of this year. You know, he was a guy on the ascent, and we were promised a concert with Joe Hendry and Danhausen. Amazing. But as I said before, they have 3 sets of tag team titles, none of which are being defended at SummerSlam. Which, again, we've talked about what Triple H thinks of tag team wrestling in WWE. He doesn't give a shit about tag team wrestling. He doesn't give a shit. I would have had them have a pull-apart brawl or anything like that. I'm just saying, Heyman out there doing his usual spiel. Brock didn't even weigh in the actual ring. It was like, okay, whatever. I'm already excited to see the match. I'm excited to see the blow-up. I'm excited to see this over and done with. Obafemi should be wrestling Roman Reigns this weekend, by the way, for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't give a shit if you disagree with me on that. When I talk about how these shows are very boring and there's a sameness to them, this is why. You want to shake things up. You want to, don't be afraid to push new people and put them in situations that maybe they ordinarily wouldn't be in. We got to save it for Mania next year. Really? This product can really use a kick in the ass right now. Obafemi should be wrestling Roman Reigns after winning King of the Ring for the World Heavyweight Championship this weekend. We had Otis and Tozawa against Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. This was a non-title match. Crowd popped when Otis made the hot tag into the match. and he hit both guys with avalanches in the corner. He did the caterpillar, splash or elbow drop, whatever, to Braun Breaker. Tozawa hit Theory with a dive out to the floor, and then he goes up top. He's going to go for the giant senton. He gets the height on this. We talk about Montez Ford and the height that he gets on the frog splash. I don't think Tozawa gets enough love for the height that he gets on that senton. To sing the same lyrics over and over and over again to this awful, shitty song. And it's not like the crowd was like going bonkers.
What? It's a go home. I don't know, chat. What would you like me to say? What would you like me to discuss? I mean, I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. I don't know how you have a microphone and a platform, a podcast, a radio show, a YouTube channel. I don't know how you have these outlets and you don't scream from the highest of mountains for change to what we're seeing right now. I don't get it. We need to band together. We need to come together. And at who we need to at on Twitter. We need to call out those who are responsible for the hideous, downright vile Monday Night Raw we got tonight. I mean, if I could choose a word, to describe Monday Night Raw tonight, word of the day, chat, is insidious. That was Monday Night Raw tonight. It was an insidious Monday Night Raw. I like that word. Oh man, I like that word. That's an impactful word. Insidious. This show is fucking terrible. If you don't think so, then you can exit the fucking chat. This show is fucking terrible. Triple H should be ashamed of what was produced tonight. Triple H should be ashamed that his name is attached to this in the ending credits. If I saw my name at the end of this show in the closing credits of the show, I would actually want to fucking bang my head against the table he was sitting at. How anybody in that writing room, how anybody on that writing team sat there collectively during the last 7 days and thought that this was going to go over well or thought that this was a good show. I don't know their names. I don't want to know their names. I don't care who they are. Every single motherfucking one of them, and if one of them happens to be watching this right now, I'm talking to you. If anybody happens to catch wind of this, I'm talking about the entire writing team. You should all be fucking burned at the stake and fucking fired within the drop of a fucking dime. Good men and women lost their jobs 90 days ago that are just now becoming free agents. I would collectively bring every fucking one of them back and fire every single motherfucker, male or female, that exists on this writing team, and I'd bring all of them back in a fucking heartbeat. only thing Triple H cares to do nowadays is put on a fucking show for WWE Unreal cameras as he sits there like a fucking geek, wearing his black leather jacket, thinking he's back in the DX days. This is all a comedy show to them. This is all a fucking comedy show to them. This is all a play to them. This is all pretend to them. Well, they make more money hand over fist and ruin the fucking product week by week, month by month, day by day, and rape our wallets more and more every single fucking week. It's a fucking joke to them. Do you guys believe me now? Nobody wants to hear it. 2025 was bad. Nobody wants to believe me. Do you now believe me that 2026 is worse than 2025? We're not even through July yet. Bro, we are living in some dark times right now. WWE is absolutely fucking... They are... With what we saw tonight, they may be the worst professional wrestling promotion on the face of the fucking planet in this very moment, on this very night, after that very segment that we saw tonight. And this is coming off a terrible AEW pay-per-view last night that absolutely lost the fucking plot and abused its fan base and all wrestling fans because Tony Khan is absolutely fucking out of his mind and nothing more than a fucking money wrestling mark who wants to jerk off to 35-minute pro wrestling exhibitions because he likes it and he doesn't give a fuck about anybody else's well-being. I sat here Monday after Monday for years. For years. Watching Vince McMahon burn this company to the fucking ground. Little did we know he was a sexual deviant and a rapist and a sex trafficker behind closed doors. Burning this company and this show to the ground. In 2019, producing some of the worst television that I think all of our collective eyes laid eyes on. The Paul Levesque era in 2026 is now on par. Officially today, I deem it just as bad as the Vince McMahon era in 2019. We are at the point of no return, chat. We are at the point of no return. I am now officially counting down the days that Triple H is actively removed from WWE Creative. There is absolutely nothing that he could possibly give me. There is nothing that he could sit down in the wee hours of the night as he gets up out of bed as Steph is snoring next to him to go to his office and sit with the nightlight on and his little bifocals with a nice pen and paper. There is absolutely nothing that this man could conjure up if he sat in a fucking summoning circle and summoned the 7 spirits of fucking hell. There's nothing he can do to get me to believe he can save this dying, terrible, vile, awful product from where it currently sits right now. There is nothing he can do. He needs to go. He needs to go. All my trust, every ounce of love and respect and trust I gave him for NXT Black and Gold, he basically fucking pissed on it and put the flames out. He didn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck, and clearly he's given up. He's given up. This show is in the hands of God knows who. And just like everything, okay, I approve this. This shit sucks. All right, let's get it through. I'm done. I'm done supporting Triple H. I'm done supporting anything he has attached his name to. I'm finished. I'm finished. And I was barely hanging on to begin with because the last 2 years have been just fucking absolutely disgusting. I'm done. I don't want to hear from him. I don't want to know him. I don't want to hear anything about what he does. There's nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do. Every single rider on that riding team needs to go. Triple H needs to go. Bruce Pritchard needs to be... And Bruce Pritchard should have already been fucking gone. How this man has survived administration after administration after administration, and he's still there. Why isn't he where Kevin Dunn is what I want to know. Michael Hayes needs to go. Bruce Pritchard needs to go. Every single fucking one of them needs to go. The best one coming out of all this, the guy who's probably smiling from ear to ear right now, is Brian James. Road Dogg. Remember how we blamed Road Dogg for SmackDown Creative? Fuck out of here. Every single one of them needs to go. What should I start with? Danhausen? Danhausen and Joe Hendry. After SummerSlam, Danhausen needs to be minimalized. He needs to be minimalized to maybe 30 seconds of on-air time, if not 0. Danhausen needs to be a mascot for WWE outside, in the real world, doing public relations in his own weird, kooky way, driving ice cream trucks around and fucking cursing people in public and signing T-shirts or whatever the fuck they got this little moron doing. Get him the fuck off of television! Get him off television! I have never been more disgusted with something in my entire fucking life. This shit is fucking utter ChatGPT, fucking childish fucking slop. Get it the fuck off of TV! I don't give a fuck if your kid likes it. I don't give a fuck if you're a grown adult who goes out and buys a $40 Danhausen New York Knicks t-shirt. I don't give a fuck if Danhausen is going to be the fucking best man at your wedding and curse your marriage for all eternity. I don't care. I don't care. Get this guy off of my fucking television screen. If I have to pay real human monies to never see him again, I would do that 10 times over. I don't believe that this story, if we can even call it that, I don't believe this pro wrestling angle that we have going into SummerSlam has gotten more on-air time than legitimately every other feud that is taking place, every other match taking place at SummerSlam. Every single week. They dedicated a whole Saturday night's main event to fucking Danhausen. Why does Danhausen have a SummerSlam match? That's what I want to know. Why does Danhausen have a SummerSlam match? Is nobody upset at the fact that Carmelo Hayes has now missed WrestleMania and SummerSlam and Danhausen's on the fucking card? Does nobody have a problem that Braun Breaker... SummerSlam is 2 nights, by the way. 2 nights. Couldn't find one spot for Carmelo Hayes on a 2-night SummerSlam. Couldn't find one spot for Carmelo Hayes on a 2-night WrestleMania. Couldn't find one spot for Carmelo Hayes on 2 of the biggest shows that the company produces all year. Fuck the future, I guess, huh? Fuck the future. The future doesn't matter to us. Danhausen and his fucking absolute garbage, his slop, is what we care about. All because the fucking kids want to see Danhausen, and they want Danhausen to curse them, and they want to show up in the front row with fucking masks on. I don't give a fuck about your kids. Your kids and what they like are ruining the fucking show. It doesn't need 6 segments on Monday night last week. It doesn't need a fucking concert with him fake playing a fucking piano like he's on fucking Sesame Street. Danhausen is on SummerSlam and Carmelo Hayes is not. How does Danhausen have a SummerSlam match and Braun Breaker does not over 2 nights? Can someone answer me that question? Weren't we told and beaten over the head with it that Braun Breaker's a future WrestleMania main eventer? On what fucking planet? Certainly not Earth. For what company? Certainly not WWE. When I see Braun Breaker standing there next to the rest of the fucking losers in the division, he looks soulless. He looks like death. He would rather be anywhere else but in that moment. How does Danhausen have a SummerSlam match and Braun Breaker doesn't? Why? Why? I'm going to throw her name in this because I'm just going to. It just highlights how WWE just seemingly just doesn't give a fuck. Didn't we get Lyra Valkyria just turning heel and having this showcase match with Bayley a couple weeks ago at Saturday night's main event? Has Lyra even made Monday Night Raw in the last 2 weeks? No follow-up to a heel turn. No follow-up after beating one of the biggest legends in the entire women's division's history. Not one peep, not one mention, not one segment, not one match, nothing. Nothing. Let's turn her heel and keep her off fucking television. How am I supposed to care about what she's doing if she's not on television? Sol Ruka doesn't have a well, she didn't, never mind WrestleMania. She doesn't have a SummerSlam match. Sol Ruka doesn't have a SummerSlam match. Why? Why? All these people don't have SummerSlam matches, but Danhausen has a SummerSlam match. Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day thankfully saved us from one of the worst segments maybe of all time, where they attacked Danhausen and who came out, chat? What was his name? So important, I don't even give a shit who the fuck he was. Who was it? Who was it? Who came out and danced alongside the Judgment Day and then hit Joe Hendry with the guitar? What was his name? Ryan Garcia. Thank you, chat. Ryan Garcia. Why is it that every time WWE goes to Los Angeles, we have to be bombarded with celebrity Netflix, Zuffa boxing fucking slop? Why? Did we really need Ryan Garcia in the segment tonight? Who asked for that? Who asked for him? Who asked for this entire fucking segment to begin with? Poor Dominic Mysterio. Poor Dominic Mysterio. This guy is the face of AAA as mega champion. This guy was the biggest fucking heel, not only in WWE, but he had heel heat that rivaled MJF. Dominic might have been the most hated heel in all of professional wrestling. He was cool. He was what every guy wanted to be. He's with Rhea Ripley, and he's with Liv Morgan, and he's in the Judgment Day, and Roxanne Perez, and he's around all these beautiful women. He was legitimately the coolest fucking guy. Feuding with John Cena last year, going into Survivor Series, trying to get back the Intercontinental Championship. If anybody has had a worse year in WWE, it is Dominic Mysterio. So again, I ask chat, is WWE in the zone of, or in the mindset of building for the future? Dominic Mysterio, buried. Braun Breaker, buried. Blake Monroe has been called up for 6 weeks now, hasn't thrown one fucking punch in a ring with an official bell ringing. Don't know what's going on there. Sol Ruca lost the Intercontinental Championship after 57 days. Ray Phoenix, nowhere to be found. Half a SmackDown roster that's fucking buried somewhere, and I don't know where the fuck they are. What exactly are we doing here? What are we doing? Have we legitimately given up completely? So from all this comedy nonsense and all this Sesame Street slop tonight that we got with Joe Hendry and Danhausen, poor Joe Hendry. You wanted him so fucking badly. You desired to have his services so badly that you put him on NXT in the midst of a TNA contract. Wined and dined him to come on over. Brought him over with 3 or 4 months still left on his existing TNA deal. He wins the NXT championship, only to then get called up, and we find him dancing around with Danhausen and midgets on Monday Night Raw in Los Angeles. This is the same Joe Hendry, mind you, that walked out at WrestleMania with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship and answered a Randy Orton open challenge. So, excuse me when I ask, why did you want Joe Hendry so badly if this is the best that you're going to do with Joe Hendry? Am I expecting Joe Hendry to be the next coming of fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin? Am I expecting him to rekindle his magic and his hot streak going back a couple of years in TNA, where he became a viral sensation? No. Am I expecting him to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and beat Roman Reigns for the title? No. But I have to seriously ask, why the fuck did you want him so badly on Monday Night Raw if this was is what you were going to do creatively with Joe Hendry. How does this make Joe Hendry a valuable asset to the fucking show? You left NXT's main event scene left for dead, and you call him up to have him play guitar with Danhausen playing a fake organ, dancing with midgets. Is this the best you got for someone who made a name for himself that didn't need this fucking dump? He would have been better off literally anywhere. He would have been better off playing in front of fucking 20 people at a rundown fucking bar in Scotland. Instead of cultivating talent and showing the talent that you appreciate them and value them, you wanted him so badly and you made him more annoying and worse than Elias! He's got a problem with the Vision. He's got a problem with the Judgment Day. Now he's dancing with Danhausen. What the fuck is his purpose? What is his purpose? So after all that, we go to the back and the midgets are licking their wounds and they're all laying on the floor, beaten up by the Judgment Day and Ryan Garcia. Adam Pearce says, I want you to end this. Just give the money back. Brother, I would give money to never see any of this shit ever again. I would give money to have these people who wrote this garbage fired. So after all this, Danhausen proposes a human monies on a pole match. A human monies on a pole match. A human monies on a pole match.
Kayak told me when to book to get a great rental car deal.
What is your freshest take?
Oh, man. Ear to ear. Embellished. And fucking beaten to death. They walk into the building the same way every fucking week. Pretending like the camera's not there, but it really is. Trying to look away and have fake conversations. And then we go to Michael Cole and Corey Graves. And then we go into either an opening segment that sets up the rest of the show or the main event for the show, or we go into a fucking match like we did tonight, and legitimately within 90 seconds, every single fucking week, you can motherfucking time it out. After 90 seconds, we go into a commercial break. Only to come back for another 3 minutes to go into another commercial break. And then what we get is legitimately 4 minutes of on-air, on-screen television pro wrestling. In the middle of 6 minutes of commercial. 10-minute match, 6 minutes of commercial assigned. And it's like that every single fucking match. The only match that they didn't do it was Raquel Rodriguez and Sol Ruca, where they had DiGiorno pizza, which is not real pizza, by the way. Where they had DiGiorno pizza, sponsored by DiGiorno Pizza, when we got a big fucking ad right on the screen, and then a little bit of a screen with Sol Ruca and Raquel Rodriguez. They didn't go to commercial, but we saw this big, huge fucking advertisement for DiGiorno Pizza. Every match. Like clockwork, you know when they're going to commercial. Within 90 seconds, every match commercial. Come back 3 minutes, into another commercial. Round out the next 3 minutes, on to the end of the match. I don't know who is putting the commercial spots where they are assigned. I don't know how many commercials this fucking show needs. I don't know how many they are programmed to give us every single week. But you are absolutely ruining the fucking experience to a point where this show doesn't even resemble a fucking television show. I'm watching 1 hour and 30 minutes of fucking commercials and maybe 20 minutes of actual pro wrestling. Maybe. I don't know how many minutes of pro wrestling we got in the first hour. If I was a betting man, I would say we got less than 18 minutes of pro wrestling in the first hour. Literally everything else was a fucking commercial or a video package about Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns that nobody gives a fuck about. Nobody cares about the fucking Shield. We don't care, bro. We don't care. And then I gotta see a fucking vignette for Hell in a Cell. And then I gotta see Liv Morgan talking about EO. And then I gotta see EO talking about Liv Morgan. And then Liv Morgan is doing a fucking autograph signing for some Cricket Wireless garbage. Bro, I don't give a fuck! I don't care what happened at Fanatics Fest last weekend! I don't care about the Minnesota Vikings selling us SummerSlam tickets for $25 motherfucking dollars. I don't care. I don't care. You wouldn't have to fucking get a Minnesota Vikings player to promote $25 tickets if your fucking show was actually worth it. It's not worth 25 fucking cents. Have you seen Night 2? Vince McMahon selling the company to TKO has killed the fucking company beyond recognition. There is such a dreadful feeling watching this show. We are legitimately at the point of no return. There's nothing that anybody can do to save us from this garbage. Vince ain't saving us. Dwayne ain't saving us. It's over. It's over. They are locked into Netflix for the next 5 years. 5 years. We got another 3.5 years of this shit on Netflix. Guaranteed. It's at that point that Netflix can say, you know what, I'm out. They have the option to not renew. They have the option to not renew. I pray to every god that's looking down upon everybody in this fucking chat room tonight that Netflix doesn't renew Monday Night Raw. If this is the way the show is going to be presented every fucking week, what is the fucking point of watching the actual on-air product? What's the point? Oh, watch it on a VPN, JD. I can't watch it on a VPN because I don't have an Amazon Fire Stick in my fucking living room, and I'm not gonna sit in this fucking chair and sit here and break my fucking back and watch this show on a VPN so I can watch Austin Theory grab Maxine Dupree's fucking ass in tight black shorts. Don't give a fuck. Monday Night Raw is finished. It's worse now than it was when we first started. This whole Netflix adventure. SmackDown's been lost at sea, and I hope it fucking drowns. I hope there's no rescue team to come and save it. I hope the whole fucking brand drowns. I hope it fucking dies a miserable death. It's fucking terrible. It doesn't even deserve the 2 hours of airtime that currently exist on the USA Network. If I'm USA Network, I'm looking at this shit. This is what I'm paying fucking $2 billion for. This? So much for CM Punk saving SmackDown. The great CM Punk, he doesn't have, he doesn't have that type of power. He doesn't. NXT is shit. Saturday night's main event has been absolutely fucking ruined. It's in pieces. I don't know what the fuck it is. They did away with everything that made Saturday night's main event unique. And now it's just WWE corporate event. That's all it is. Another fucking cheap way to sell tickets to fucking unsuspecting idiots who willingly give this company your hard-earned money. These PLEs, bro, if you are expecting SummerSlam to be a make good for WrestleMania, you are going to get your 6 and 7 minute matches and 8-minute commercial breaks in between, and you're going to fucking like it. Because ESPN is also probably pissed the fuck off with WWE to a point where they realize they spent too much money, and Nick Khan conned them out of all this money. So they're going to advertise you to death and try and recoup as much money as they can back on this failed endeavor called WWE. The people running this company, they have absolutely bastardized the company to a point where I legitimately want to vomit every fucking week. To see Joe Tessitore and Seth Rollins and segments on ESPN being talked about like they're legitimate fucking sports. Bro, nobody on ESPN gives a flying fuck about Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and the 12-year history that exists between them. Nobody at ESPN gives a fuck about SummerSlam.
Oh, hello. I'm Parker Posey. Can I let you in on my summer hosting secret? It's a Long Island. A real Long Island! A proper Long Island has vodka, tequila, rum, gin, triple sec. Honestly, it's a lot to keep up with. That's why Cutwater made me this one.
For you to act like you are in the same league and you belong there, us wrestling fans don't want that. We never wanted that, and we don't give a fuck about that. We just want our pro wrestling with characters and stories. This is what happens when multi-billionaires sink their evil fucking claws into anything that makes them money. They're living large. They're living financially fucking free for lifetime after lifetime for lifetime after lifetime. Buying super yachts and fucking mansions and taking out fucking 30,000 shares in stocks to do God knows what with. Meanwhile, the product that we ingrain our life in, the product that we dedicate our life to, the product that we find escape in, you ruined it. You ruined it. Because Nick Khan needed another fucking Maserati in his garage. Because Ari Emanuel needs another fucking high-end hooker to come on over late night to fucking do God knows what. I'm done. I'm fucking done. This shit is deplorable. Absolutely fucking deplorable. They've gotten us to a point where we're watching SummerSlam this weekend. I don't even trust WWE to put on SummerSlam in the way that we remember SummerSlam. They have everybody dreading. We still live with the fucking images of WrestleMania. We still live with that fucking dread coming out of WrestleMania this year, where we got near 3 hours of fucking commercials. 4 hours of commercials between both nights. What was the statistics, chat? What was the statistics? 4 hours of commercials and maybe what, 2 hours of pro wrestling? think SummerSlam is going to be any different. Oh, but Triple H is trying to make up for SummerSlam, which is why he put the card together the way that he did. He's trying to make up for WrestleMania. So what are you trying to tell me? What is Triple H trying to tell us? That he knew WrestleMania was a steaming pile of fucking dog shit? He wants to make up for WrestleMania. In what way? In what way? SummerSlam needs to be the greatest spectacle that this company's put on since this man has taken over Vince McMahon's throne. And even then, it's not going to do anything for us to get our trust back. I don't know what he's got planned. I don't. Punk and Cody needs to go at least 25 minutes. And it needs to have a heel turn by Cody Rhodes and some semblance of story. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins will apparently be main eventing night 2. I don't know how the fuck they came to that decision. I'm sure Roman's ego played a huge part in that. They got the night 2 main event over Cody and Punk. And the WWE Championship. Who runs the company, chat? Roman Reigns does. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins need to go at least 25 minutes. And there needs to be a story that takes the bloodline into next week's television and makes me legitimately give a shit. Brock Lesnar and Obafemi need to have a Hell in a Cell match that blows Punk and McIntyre at Bad Blood 2 years ago out of the fucking water. I'm talking about broken cages. I'm talking about 2 men on top of the cage. I'm talking about blood. Chad Gable and Penta. If they aren't tasked with 20 minutes minimum, you've already fucked up. Nick Aldis and Gunther. You let Nick Aldis and Gunther go out there, no handcuffs, and you give them a fucking 20-minute time limit to tell us a story. What I'm trying to express to you is that the 6 minutes and the 7 minutes that we were bombarded with at WrestleMania, everything that we got at Mania needs to be doubled. And no, I'm not advocating for WWE to have every match be 20 minutes. I'm advocating for pro wrestling to be first and commercials be second on Saturday and Sunday. Nothing will change. I could sit here and voice my opinion in front of all you people, and nothing will change. I can tweet Triple H, nothing will change. We can rant, bitch, rave, moan, complain. We can fucking... We can put petitions together and fucking social media fucking band together and just say, fuck WWE and fuck TKO. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. I genuinely don't even want to go over this show. I don't. There's nothing that happened on this show that is even worth my time talking about. Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. They beat Otis and Tozawa. Apparently they wrote Otis off of television. Why? I don't know. SummerSlam could have used a 7th match per night. But apparently they wanted to get this match out there today and not at SummerSlam, which then leaves, theoretically, Braun Breaker off the SummerSlam card. How you have a SummerSlam 2-night show and then not feature Braun Breaker, who was, for months, heralded as the next big thing and a future WrestleMania main event guy for years and years and years to come, can't find himself on SummerSlam night 1 or night 2. And who exactly is leading the division? Is it Braun Breaker, is it Austin Theory, or is it Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree? I can't tell. Who exactly? They wrote another tag team off television. This is another question that boggles my mind. They wrote Otis off television, leaving Tozawa without Otis. Who exactly is coming on in to battle the Vision for the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Championships? There are no other teams there. You're legitimately looking at a division. This is another fucking problem in this company that they just refuse to acknowledge. Where is the tag team division? There are no teams left. Otis and Tozawa, now gone because Otis was written off television. The Street Profits, they lost the titles a couple weeks back because I'm assuming Bianca Belair is about to give birth and Montez needs to be home with his wife. Angelo Dawkins' wife is also pregnant, so he needs to be home with his wife. They moved the War Raiders from Monday night to Friday night with no fucking word at all as to why that happened. Then they moved them down to AAA, had them win the AAA Tag Team Championships, brought them back to SmackDown, and now apparently they're feuding with R-Truth and Damian Priest, who aren't even a real fucking tag team!
Well, they have to be on TV for a couple of weeks, and they will be...
The Creeds? Are they even still employed?
Well, Bianca been out with a dislocated finger. A very bad finger.
Or are we bringing Big Cass back next week with Enzo, and they haven't really announced Enzo? He's going to be more of a surprise. And we're going to get Enzo and Cass first division. Because, fuck it, they're not with Paul Heyman anymore. They can do and fucking feud with whoever they want. Javon Evans and Rusev wrestled.
Well, reason why...
What was the point of the match? It wasn't a bad match. But what was the point? Was there anything on the line? Do wins and losses matter? Javon Evans beats Rusev after Rusev made him tap out or pass out in the gauntlet match a couple of weeks ago when they determined a #1 contender for Penta's Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. What's the point? Is Javon going to be put in position for an Intercontinental Championship with the winner coming out of SummerSlam? They do work good together, I will give them that. But what was the point? It's just more rinse and repeat from Triple H. Ethan Page and Rey Mysterio. I feel like we've been here and done that again and again and again. What's the point? This women's division doesn't even exist anymore. It's just Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. No Bayley, no Lyra, no Stephanie. Where is everybody? Io. Do no other women exist on this show? Asuka's gone. They fired Kyrie. Stephanie's hurt. They moved Rhea to SmackDown. Are we doing anything to fix the women's division problem? You're shorthanded in the women's division and the tag team division on the men's side, and you do nothing to rectify these issues. Why do I, as a fan, we as fans, call out these problems and WWE does nothing to fix them? Liv Morgan hasn't defended her championship since WrestleMania. Her first title defense will be on Saturday. For the first time since April, this woman is defending her championship. And by God, if she doesn't lose the championship, I will then question what Triple H is fucking doing even further. She doesn't deserve to be the champion. What good is Io gonna do with the championship? What fucking difference does it make who the fucking champion is? Liv, Io, it's all gonna be the same thing. Io was the champion last year, wasn't she? What did she do with the title then? Nothing. The best thing about this show tonight, genuinely, the only redeeming quality of this show tonight was the fact that Solo Sikoa felt like he was breaking out of his shell and becoming the guy that he currently is right now in the story that he is in. You can see that he's having fun. You can see that with creative, handcuffing him and shackling him down with two fucking hideous personalities in Tamatonga and Tolatonga, and in a group that was fucking absolutely just boring. Solo Sikoa is legitimately becoming the superstar that he needs to be. He's jovial, he's funny, he's charismatic, he's humorous, he's just like free. Free. Solo was fucking great tonight. Still don't care about the bloodline garbage, but I gotta give him props. I gotta give him some props.
Hey,
and then Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Did they do anything to get you more excited about their main event for night 2? How's the show gonna go off the air with Rollins and Reigns? Is Roman gonna win the match and hold the championship up, and then, we'll see on Monday? I'm still dumbfounded how they made that decision to have that main event night 2. The fact that they gave them night 2 means that something's gotta happen. Something. Are we really looking at another show with Roman Reigns just saying, all right, is the one, man, acknowledge me, I'll see you on Monday? Maybe. I'll show up to work if I feel like showing up to work. I need to beat you. Didn't Cody just tell that to Punk?
Hey,
I need to beat you.
I left Solo.
You know what we need? We need a good show.
Hey, only reason why
we need a lot of things that we're not getting right now. I don't give a fuck what Seth Rollins needs. I need to beat you.
After he lost,
brother, you have more of a chance of opening up 10 coffee shops than you do beating Roman Reigns for the World's Heavyweight Championship. There's no way anybody believes Seth Rollins is winning the World's Heavyweight Championship. None. He stands 0 chance. Was there anything I missed, chat? Was there anything else that you wanted me to go over on this show that desperately needs to be talked about? We talked about Brock Oba. We talked about the Vision versus the Alpha Academy. Chad Gable had a promo. EO had a promo. Raquel and Sol Ruca had promos. We talked about Javon Evans and Rusev. We talked about Joe Hendry and Danhausen. Penta had a promo. Rey Mysterio and Ethan Page. Ethan Page beats Rey Mysterio. Liv Morgan had a promo. Solo Sikoa and the rest of the Bloodline and LA Knight and Royce Keys, they did their thing, building to their match. And Sol Ruca lost the Intercontinental Championship to Raquel Rodriguez after 57 days as champion. This was your go-home show. This was your go-home show for tonight.
So he beat Nick Aldis.
I don't know what else I could explain to you. I don't know how else I could vent my frustrations. I don't know what else I could tell you or say to you that exudes my frustrations with this current product. Pro wrestling is in dire need of change. TKO is ruining WWE and Tony Khan is ruining AEW. And you are all being gaslit from WWE because we're making all this money and TKO's doing all this thing and we're on ESPN and we're so big and bad and we got WWE radio and we're everywhere and things are up. This is what we do. We tell stories. We tell movies. They're gaslighting you. Meanwhile, ticket sales are down. The creative is as worse as ever. The product on air is fucking absolutely vile. And then on AEW side, you're being bombarded with, oh, we've got great momentum, and this is the hottest that we've ever been, and the ratings are higher now than they were 2 years ago. Fuck off. Fuck off. All because the ratings are up doesn't mean it's a good fucking television show. All because you're making all this money, it doesn't mean it's a good television show. All because people are fucking stupid enough to buy tickets to watch your fucking Sesame Street slop doesn't mean it's good television shows. Doesn't mean it's successful. That means you got a lot of fucking motherfucking stupid people out there. Tell you about Redemption. Redemption was boring! If I could fucking burn Redemption to the ground, I would have, personally. And I would have watched it burn. I wouldn't even piss on the fucking flames to put it out. I'm disgusted, chat, and so are you. That's all I got for you. We're gonna get into your super chats. This may be the first type of review I've done like this, where I had to, man. I had to come on here and just air my grievances. I couldn't do it. I could not sit here and willingly review this show. That was your show. That was your Monday night. Sad state of affairs. It really is. You guys on a poll, fell asleep, got a Raw, woke up in time for wheel entry.
Well, I might well end the video. I made this very, very long, at 2 hours. So hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Hold on.
Up next, the Thunder take it on.
Hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section below. Y'all want to see more? Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. This was this show sucked. Can't wait for, we'll see what happens on SmackDown. And then we'll see, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Ethan Page beat Rey Mysterio in a decent match. So, yeah. We'll see what happens on SmackDown this week, and then we'll see what's gonna happen in SummerSlam for both nights. After the Triple H show, Dominic Mysterio abandoning Grand Americano against Pedro Del Mar. Dominic joined Omos and Darian. Rey Mysterio made the side new Triple H announcement. Yeah, so there's that. Well, I'll see y'all later. Until next time, hit that like button, leave a comment. As for the AEW show, we know that AEW, this is one of the worst AEW pay-per-views of all time. AEW Redemption sucked. We already got the Redemption, now what? Hold on. I'm sorry, hold on a second. Hey, what the hell? Well, I might as well just stop the video. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.